Welcome all. It's another day, another hoodie. I live in a converted church, so it gets really, really cold here. So I'm always trying to stay warm, especially when I'm in bed. I don't know why. So anyway, my daughter's just bought me a cup of tea, and so I thought I would do another of my videos whilst I have the energy to do it, because I do these sort of as and when I can rather than regularly. So some days I'll feel quite good and I'll do three or four of them, and then other days I might not do any for a week. So yeah, I just do them when I can. Anyway, today is day 19, I think. Today I wanted to talk about rebuilding trust after conflict, basically. Not after something massive like cheating or betrayal of that kind of stuff, but whenever we have a conflict with our partners or anyone really, whether it's a friend, a colleague, whatever it is, we need to rebuild trust afterwards. That's part of the healing process from the conflict. So today I want to talk about what each attachment style needs to feel safe again, basically, to rebuild that trust. And trust is one of the most fragile yet essential elements of every relationship. And after conflict or a rupture, even when we've apologized or talked things through, that feeling of safety can still feel like just a little bit out of reach. Um, and if you know that feeling, things are fine on the surface, but underneath there's like tension or hesitation, that question of, can I really relax again with you? And that's what, oh, my dog is playing on the end of the bed, so it's bouncing around. That's what today's video is about. Rebuilding trust, not in theory, but in real life, where emotions and history and attachment styles all come into play. Because repair ends the argument, but rebuilding trust restores the relationship at the end of the day. So let's start by talking about what trust really is, psychologically speaking. And trust isn't just about believing someone won't hurt you, it's about believing that if they do, they'll care enough to make it right again afterwards. It's built through predictability and emotional attunement and safe repetition. So every time your nervous system experiences safety after stress, your brain quietly says, maybe I don't have to stay on guard anymore. Maybe I don't have to stay on guard anymore. And that's why rebuilding trust takes time, because it's not cognitive, it's embodied. Your body needs to experience consistency before it believes safety is real, essentially. So for someone with secure attachment, that comes quite naturally. But for people with anxious or dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant patterns, rebuilding trust requires learning how to stay open even while feeling afraid. So let's talk about the anxious attacher first. And this is the person I say is craving reassurance but fearing abandonment. So for the anxious attacher, a rupture or a conflict activates an intense fear of being abandoned or replaced. So even after someone apologizes, that inner child is whispering, what if they do it again? What if they do it again? So trust for the anxious individual isn't restored by words. It's rebuilt through consistent emotional presence. So they feel safe when they can see and feel that they still matter. And that means small, predictable actions like replying when you say you will, or following through on the promises that you make to them, or speaking gently even in tense moments. But here's the key. It's not just about the other person doing this. It's not just about the other person doing this. If you're healing an anxious attachment, your work is learning to self-soothe between moments of reassurance from others. You need to be able to reassure yourself. Because every time you rely solely on external validation to calm your anxiety, you unintentionally reinforce the belief that love is something you must chase or earn. Will you stop jumping on me, Doc? So start practicing small acts of self-trust, basically. When you feel panic rising, say to yourself, it's safe for me to wait. She's trying to get under my duvet now. Um, when you feel panic, you need to say to yourself, it's safe for me to wait. If they're meant to stay, they'll show me through consistency. So over time, that voice becomes louder than the fear that you feel. That's how the anxious attacher transitions into secure attachment, by learning that stability begins like within themselves. So the avoidant attacher, the dismissive avoidant attacher, is somebody I say needs space that doesn't threaten connection. So the dismissive avoidant attacher's experience of rupture or conflict is different to an anxious one. So for them, emotional intensity feels dangerous, like losing autonomy or being trapped or being judged or being shamed. Shame is a big thing for dismissive avoidance. So after conflict, they might say they're fine, withdraw, or downplay the issue completely. But what's really happening is that their nervous system is overloaded, completely overwhelmed. They're trying to find safety through distance, essentially. So rather than talk about it, it's fine, it's fine. Don't need to talk about it, it's fine. Or they just ghost, or they'll downplay it. Well, it wasn't that big a deal. So the problem is their silence is often interpreted by other attachment styles as rejection, which can trigger your partner's anxiety, especially if they are an anxious attachment style, and then the cycle continues. So you're both basically triggering each other. For avoidant attachers, rebuilding trust happens when space and connection can coexist. So that might look like saying, I don't know, I'm okay, but I need a bit of time to process. I'll come back to you when I feel settled. Um, it's something like that. I'm okay, but I need a bit of time to think, so I'll come back to you when I've had that time. So this simple sentence tells your partner, I'm not disappearing, I'm just regulating. I'm calming down, basically. So every time you do that and follow through by actually coming back when you say you will, you retrain your body to see intimacy as something safe to return to. And also, you retrain your partner that you are going to stick to your word and you're not abandoning them. Avoidant healing is about controlled openness, learning that you can express boundaries and connection in the same breath. Over time, that combination creates genuine safety for both people. So when we're talking about the fearful avoidant, they're torn between fear of rejection and fear of closeness. They've got both elements of anxious and dismissive avoidant. So the fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment style experiences the deepest internal conflict. They have the hardest time, really, and they're the most misunderstood. So they've often learned that love is inconsistent, sometimes nurturing, sometimes painful. So they struggle to relax even when things seem really good. And after a rupture, they want to trust again, but part of them still expects that disappointment. They may test the connection, withdrawing to see if the person will chase them, or getting close and then pushing away when it feels too vulnerable. If that's you, doing that, if you are fearful avoidant, rebuilding trust starts by creating emotional safety within yourself first. So it doesn't come from outside of you, it comes from inside. That means noticing the part of you that wants to flee and the part that wants to cling, and reassuring both that they're safe now. You might say to yourself something like, uh, it's safe to let someone show me who they are over time. So, fearful avoidant healing isn't fast, I'm afraid. It's about gentle exposure to safety. Slow and steady wins the race in this case. Each time you risk staying in connection, even just a little bit longer than you did before, you're reprogramming your nervous system to know that it's safe to do this. Because trust doesn't mean you won't get hurt again. That's not what it's about. It means believing that you can handle it if and when you do. So, for the secure attacher, these secure attachers model, they're kind of the model for mutual repair and growth, really. Secure attachers show us that trust isn't about perfection, it's about consistency and care. It's not about perfection. Nobody is perfect. They know that mistakes happen, but what matters most is what happens afterwards, going on from there. So a secure person rebuilds trust by owning their part, empathizing with the impact that their part had, and following through on the promises that they make afterwards. They don't avoid accountability, and they don't punish through distance either. They stay emotionally engaged. So, for example, they might say, I don't know, I understand that I hurt you. I'll make sure that I show up differently next time. I didn't mean to do that. Or they might say, I can see why that triggered you. Let's figure out how we can handle it better next time. What makes this really powerful is that secure people rebuild trust through action, not intensity. Their love feels safe because it's reliable. It's always there. You know it's always there. So, and that reliability teaches others what safety feels like. So, secure attachers really are healing in themselves. Not perfect, but they can help you, especially if you have an insecure attachment style. So, there is a science behind rebuilding trust, and trust isn't rebuilt through one big moment. It's rebuilt through repetition, basically. Neuroscience shows us that it takes around 60 to 90 days of consistent experience to form new emotional associations. That means every time you or your partner handle conflict calmly, return after space, or speak truthfully when it's hard, your nervous system updates its map of safety. If you've ever said, for instance, I know they love me, but I still feel unsafe. This is why. Your body needs proof, not promises. It needs proof. And the good news is, every secure interaction that you do becomes that proof. So, it's never too late to teach your nervous system that love can be safe. So, and there is this old saying, fake it till you make it. Well, sometimes that is exactly how we reprogram. We go through the motions of what we think secure attachment would look like, and eventually it becomes our attachment style. So, because I love my reflections, and I know I've rattled on for quite a while, this week these videos have been a bit longer because I've had a bit more to say. I want to leave you with a question today, and I would love to hear your answers, so please do send them in to me. So, the question is, when you think about rebuilding trust, what does safety look like to you? So, when you think about rebuilding trust, what does safety look like to you? And for some, it's consistency. And for others, it's honesty or effort or being given space to breathe. Whatever your answer, start by practicing that with yourself first. If safety to you means consistency, show up for yourself consistently. Sometimes we're awful at doing that, absolutely awful. We'll put everybody else before ourselves and we always come last. So stop that. If safety for you means consistency, show up for yourself consistently. If safety means kindness, speak to yourself kindly with gentleness. If it's honesty, stop pretending you're okay when you're hurting, because self-trust is the foundation of every secure relationship. Once you trust yourself to handle discomfort, you stop needing others to behave perfectly to feel safe. And that's the moment you stop repeating old attachment cycles and start living securely. And it's wonderful. It's really peaceful. So trust isn't rebuilt overnight, but it always begins with one small, safe moment. Start there and keep showing up for it. Anyway, that's me for today. Take care all. Have a great evening. Bye.